20th century, armed with new technologies like sonar, oceanographers, geologists, and other scientists began to unravel the mysteries of the ocean floor. These scientists were the pioneers of a new frontier that covered some 70% of the Earth's surface. One of these pioneers, Marie Tharp, was a garrulous redhead from Ypsilanti, Michigan, whose keen mind and unorthodox style would change the way we look at our planet.
She was one of the greatest cartographers in our business of marine geophysics who's ever lived. She's responsible for significantly advancing our understanding of how the oceans work.
Marie Tharp was a mapmaker, but she approached her trade with the eye of an artist. This was not an era, after all, when mapmakers worked with satellite data and powerful computers. Instead, Marie Tharp used thousands of sonar measurements supplied by research ships and built her maps using much simpler tools.
Initially as pen and ink sketches, little tiny line sketches of the type that you can see in the Codex of Leonardo da Vinci.
Dr. William Ryan is a research scientist at the Lamont Doherty Earth Observatory at Columbia University. As a graduate student, and later as a scientist at Lamont Doherty, he worked closely with Marie Tharp and came to know both the scientist and the woman.
Marie was eclectic. She was an unconformist in everything, the way she dressed. She giggled. She had a temper.
Now, I must say it's been a great pleasure to be here.
Tharp, who died this year at the age of 86, is credited, along with the late Bruce Hazen, with being the first scientist to map the hidden structure of the ocean's floor, and by doing so, helping us understand the complexities of how the Earth has evolved.
Those who had made global maps before, the maps in the oceans, these maps had very large blank spaces. They were extraordinarily generalized. There's no appreciation of the fabric of the ocean floor. Much of this filling in had to be done through intuition.
Hunched over huge sheets of paper, Marie Tharp used her intuition as the daughter of a surveyor to reveal unknown features of the Earth's surface. Her work initially focused on a section of the Atlantic Ocean.
What she did was to take the then best known determination of earthquakes, we call these earthquake epicenters, and plot them on her base chart. And there was a line of earthquakes going right down the middle of the Atlantic. So she essentially used the mapping of earthquakes to build in her mind this seam, like a seam of a baseball that wraps around the Earth.
That seam, it turns out, was the place where continents are formed, where magma from the Earth's mantle pushes up and forces outward the continental plates, a process known as seafloor spreading.
It was the understanding of the mid-Atlantic ridge that allowed us to understand that the continents are constantly moving apart on either side of the Atlantic Ocean at about 1 inch per year.
At the time, however, Tharp's ideas were controversial, even among her closest associates.
Even my predecessor here as director of Lamont, her boss at the time, Maurice Ewing, the great Maurice Ewing, did not believe in seafloor spreading in the early years.
But it's right there, everywhere. There's this fissure, and now we know that is the crack between the two divergent plates.
Tharp and Hazen worked for nearly 2 decades on their map of the ocean floor. Their relationship was at times tumultuous, but together they pieced together one of the great mysteries in ocean floor geology.
She had great insight, great intuitive insight, and from very sparse data sets that were available in the 1960s, she conjured these fabulous images of how the ocean floor looks, which have proven to be true with the much superior data sets that we have today.
While her name is not widely known among non-scientists, her work most definitely is. In the 1970s, Tharp and Hazen collaborated with Heinrich Baron, an Austrian landscape painter, to create what is still considered one of the most beautiful maps in the history of cartography.
The maps that hang on the walls of corridors in so many universities around the world and earth science departments are not the ocean. They're Marie Tharp's ocean.